in the next 3 years. Concessional loan on very low interest, as opposed to trying to borrow money here from local banks. The IMF 4 days ago made a similar announcement of a huge intervention. We have public roads that have all stalled. We need to get the contractors back on site. We have to get this money somehow. We did not create this situation. We found it. And they are uncomfortable when we say that's the situation we found. What do they want us to say? You people know, you manage companies. You know, you look at the state of the books when you take over a company. You take a company that is in the red, you know what to do with it. You take a going concern, you know what to do with it. But us, we didn't have a choice. Kenya is ours. We took it the way it was because this is our country. If we had a choice, we would have looked for another company, not Kenya. Because of the huge debt portfolio through irresponsible borrowing. When we tell the story, because we are going to tell the story, people will be shocked. How $2 billion was taken from the central bank and put in a private bank that is responsible for the situation we are in, the weakening of the shilling. And people want to sit there, and we know what they did. And we had said, let bygones be bygones. But there's a good discussion. We are going to have a good discussion. We are putting the figures into place, who took what and where, so that the people of Kenya can know why we are in this shit and this mess. To be fair to everybody, how do people expect a government to fix a 10-year mess in 1 year? A mess of 10 years. Through state capture, conflict of interest, outright theft of public resources, irresponsible borrowing, misuse of public funds, misapplication of funds into useless legacy projects. And here we are. We must be truthful to the people of Kenya because it's important that we be truthful to the people of Kenya. And when the people of Kenya finally know the truth, they will make a judgment, an assessment on who is right and who is wrong. But what I can assure you, the president and the rest of us are determined to fix this economy, and this economy we shall fix it. And there are good signs. And signs are last year, for the first time in 8 years, at the closure of financial year at midnight on June 30th, we had given every cent owed to the county governments. And previously, we had arrears of 5 to 6 months for county governments, for years. By the closure of financial year on June 30th, we had disbursed the last coin to the constituency development funds. For the first time, we have no arrears for our elderly men and women for their monthly stipend. We found an arrears for 8 months for those senior citizens who need that 2,000 to buy drugs, to buy food. We have cleared all that. Today, they get their stipend before civil servants are paid. And we have said, let anybody who has an idea on how to fix this economy come and talk to us. I want, on behalf of the president, to welcome you as ISPAC. Come and talk to our people at the National Treasury, and we'll ask you to talk to the president, and all of us are aligned. This is our country, and as I said, we don't know everything. If you have better ideas than we have, this is our country, we have no other country. Please come and talk to us, and whatever you advise us, if it's prudent, if it can get us out of the quagmire that we find ourselves in, we shall say asante sana. So please, you are most welcome. I've heard you talk about pending bills. It's true. The president, in his wisdom, has put a committee where your members are represented, led by Uhuru, former Auditor General, an eminent Kenyan, another group of very eminent professionals. I saw them when the president was inaugurating the team. Men and women of integrity to scrutinize, verify, and validate pending bills so that those that are payable we can pay, and put that history of pending bills behind us. We saw many Kenyans lose their homes. We saw families break up. We saw people commit suicide as a result of pending bills. Government documents became worthless. Previously, during the Kibaki regime, you could walk to any financial institution with an LPO and get LPO financing 50% without a question, because the documents had credibility. People knew that you are given a contract by government, it is payable. Today, there is no bank or microfinance institution that will honor an LPO, because you supply 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the line, you have not been paid. We want to restore the sanctity of government LPOs and LSO and contracts so that they become bankable, that you can walk to a bank and get cash against it to carry out the works that you have been given. So that is ongoing. Again, you have said you have your issues of the remuneration role. You have explained to me there and here, and what we have agreed, I'll create the framework. My office has been tasked by the president the responsibility of coordinating constitutional commissions and independent offices. I'm the one who does that coordination in my office. So we have agreed with the chair. I'll call that forum for you. The Attorney General and no other people involved, we begin that conversation so that, like your counterparts, the lawyers and other professionals, you can have your own remuneration role. Lakini msiweke pesa mingi sana, mlipiche kidogo. There is too much competition. Even these lawyers, I can tell you, because some of us wafanyi biashara pia, hatuwalipi ile iko kwa hiyo role. Tuna negotiate because mawakili ni wengi sana. Tusema wewe ni ngapi, wewe ni ngapi, wewe ni ngapi, wanashindana inateremuka. It is good to have the remuneration role as a benchmark. But you are also many. You have told me you are 35,000. 28,000 are in practice. So mutashindana tu pole pole, so that Kenyans can also get the best deal. So that one I'll do. Again, you have talked about too many regulations, and will help. The members of the National Assembly are here. The Attorney General is there. We can agree on how to fast track the review of these regulations so that we can collapse them into something that is making sense, so that we don't have too many laws for the same person doing the same thing. So that is something we can help in terms of fast tracking with the leader of the National Assembly in Parliament, with the Attorney General, with our legal drafters. We can work together and we can help you to fast track that one. The MP for Molo, KK, my good friend, has said about you people being targeted when there are investigations. It is true. Even the procurement people who are here crying the same. It is true, and it's very sad. And I said, and I want once more to reiterate to ACC and DCI, please hire professionals to be your investigators. Hire accountants, hire procurement people who can advise you on how the investigation is going. You find some of these policemen, they have no idea about accounting. You know? So he is being asked to interrogate you and write statements on things that himself he cannot comprehend. You know? I from a personal experience on how absurd our investigative agencies can be when they are investigating complex matters beyond their pay grade. When we were fighting to come to government. And the previous government targeted me for persecution because of my political stand, which was very firm, and decided to try to blackmail me to change my stand. They sent CID officers all over my life to look around my life for 50 years and turn it around and see whether they can get something. So I had put some money in a microfinance for 8 years. Fixed deposit, 200 million. Money I had earned through hard work, saved, put 200 million, and through good advice by accountants, told me, put this money in the fixed deposit and live for the interest. And I stopped working. I put it, I negotiated for 13%. And every month I was getting 1.9 million, which is money actually I did not need. It's too much. 1.9 million is too much for one person. So I was living on the interest. I give a little to Pastor Dorcas. You know, she's a pastor, she doesn't need a lot of money. So, ingine kidogo, mimi nakula na marafiki. Ingine napeleka kwa siasa kidogo kidogo. So, this money is in my personal account. I put it on a core deposit for 3 months. So every 3 months, it leaves my personal account, goes to a suspense account. It stays there. At the end of the 3 months, inarudishwa yote pamoja na interest. I remain with the interest. I reinvest it back. So that movement back and forth, 4 times a year, a corporal in police said, I have 800 million every year that is coming to the account. You know, that movement back and forth. So they calculated for 8 years, they said it's 12.4 billion. And they put up a case of 12.4 billion. And it's the same amount of money. The only 200 is the only money. There is no other money. Movement of back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So yeye anaangalia pale, mwisho pale, at the end pale. Hey, they calculated, they say this man, in 8 years, he has gotten 12.4 billion. He needs to say where this money has come from. But it was the same 200 million. I tried to explain to him, huyo mjinga hawezi shika, hawezi elewa. But if they had an accountant or a banker in that bank, tungefika hapo kweli? It's just a rollover. We are trying to tell them what is a rollover. Anasema, hiyo ni nini? Hawezi shika. And that is where you have found accountants have been called to record statement. The fellow recording cannot understand what is it that you are saying. He has no idea about books of accounts. So I'm saying, EACC, DCI, please, for you to deal with corruption and economic crimes, hire professionals in every field as your investigators. Have accountants, have procurement officers, have bankers, have all sorts of professionals for you to deal conclusively with economic crimes because they are complex. An ordinary policeman trained in Kigajo cannot understand those things. And I want to say now that we have agreed on police reforms, we have agreed that we'll have a cadet entry so that we attract professionals. So that you enter at the level of an inspector when you are professional. I want to encourage professionals across the country. When we implement that reform and there's a recruitment, please accountants come to the police force as a direct cadet and come and help these people to deal with issues that are complex. Au wengine wafanye kazi hii ya kawaida. Ya kushika wewe, kuweka wewe pingu, kutoa wewe, hiyo wafanye. Lakini ingine hii ni mambo ngumu hii. These are difficult issues. Even ourselves, and we are graduates, we are not able to understand those things. So that's why we hire accountants to advise us. That's why we hire lawyers to advise us, because you are not good at that profession. So to avoid this harassment of professionals by police, let us bring in professionals in the investigation agencies and things will be okay. Finally, You are aware, we want to privatize all non-profit making state corporations so that we can give them to you people because you are the one who knows how to do business. The work of government is not to do business, PS. Our work is to give services. If you look at the sugar sector in Western Kenya, there are several factories, some are state-owned, others are private. The soil is the same. The environment is the same. The farmers are the same. The prices are the same. The only difference, some are managed by government officials, others are private. Moroni, Mumias, Nzoia, Chemiril, managed by public servants, all dead. Butali, West Kenya, managed by the private sector, making profit. Why does government want to do business? That's not our work. Our work is to build roads, to provide security, to give health services. Let us leave business to the private sector so that the people who know how to run investments can do it professionally. So very soon, we are finalizing on the law. All these companies will be up for sale. Nyinyi muko na pesa, mununue, and you run them. And you run them profitably. It's good for the country because once they are profitable, we shall collect corporate tax. We shall collect pay as you earn. So that we can work efficiently. But we have no business as a government to put more money into non-profit making organizations. It is unwise. It's actually foolish to do so. And with this cannot continue. These are some of the hard decisions the president has to make. And the test of leadership, not just in Africa but in the world, is the ability for a leader to make hard decisions for his country. These decisions may look unpopular for now. Because they are hard decisions. But in another 24 months, people will say these were the right decisions because hard decisions must be made. There is no other way of turning around this economy. And if we don't make hard decisions, we'll all get into problems. Technology is the way to go. We have started ourselves as a government. We have digitized all our services. And you know, everything was being stolen. People had their own receipt books. Kwa National Park, mtu wako na receipt yake. Analipisha, anapeana receipt, anaweka pesa kwa mfuko. Before we digitized all our services, we were collecting 60 million a day. After we did, we are collecting every day 350 million. 600% increase. The 290 million ilikuwa naenda kwa mifuko ya wanaume. And there was a lot of resistance. And we said, if you cannot agree that we digitize our services, we pay through one pay bill number, Mutembei uende nyumbani. We are now at 350, and our progression, when we look at the full potential, in another 3 months, we'll be able to collect $1 billion every day for this country. So let everybody embrace digitization of government services. Na wengi hata wamewacha kazi because they were not living on the salary. They were living on collecting money in cash. So that one is going to continue because there is no other way of going about it. Finally, you talked about your scheme of service. Those who are in the public sector, we are willing to have that conversation. I'm in charge of public sector reforms. We are willing to engage you as ISPAC on behalf of those who serve in the public sector so that we can agree with the Public Service Commission and the Ministry of Public Service on a scheme of service to encourage career progression and to have a very defined structure on how you rise in the service so that you don't just work and you are not sure about tomorrow. So if we were able to do that, I think things should be able. Finally, I was very happy to note that 60% of your membership are our women. Pongezi, congratulations. You know, accountants are very important people, because the issue of integrity and being honest is very important. So I'm very happy that 60% are women, because most women are very honest. Yes, myself, I hang around with a lot of women in my office. All the key areas nimepatia wa mama, because hapana wezi. Quite a number, a few ni wakora, lakini the whole, a few manga kidogo, wanakaa kama wanaume. Lakini sisi wazee tuko wakora kidogo. So I'm very happy that most, 60% of your members are women, and we want to encourage our women to fight for your space in every sector in this country, including leadership. Be women of substance. You have something to offer, because you offer service from the heart. You are very genuine and compassionate in what you believe in. So we would want to see more women in leadership. And I can tell you from the cabinet, we have 8 women. The one at Toa Jasho, they work, and they work from the heart. They are so passionate in what they do. We want to see more women in the judiciary. We want to see more in the cabinet. We want to see more in the private sector. We want women to take up their rightful space in the management of the affairs of this country and in terms of economic activities. Kwa hivyo mimi nimeshukuru sana.